Are you being smart with me? If you're being smart with me, young lady, you're gonna be punished.
Punished for being smart?
For being a smart Alec.
What's up, party people? And welcome back to Smart Alec. Thank you so much for joining us today. Feeling real fabulous today. I'm rocking my my space buns. Got the good energy going. And speaking of energy, today's episode is all going to be about energy, pretty much. We're going to be talking about the law of attraction, mindset. We're going to be talking about, just really how to be who you envision. Where does this initial response come from to even be able to show up every day and to execute? We have a fabulous guest who is an outstanding human. Christian and I have known him for a while. Zoe gets to meet him for the first time. So we're excited for that. But yeah, he is an entrepreneur, a podcaster, YouTuber. We have so much to learn from what he's experienced this year. So we are going to pick his brain. Zoe and I are also going to be covering some hot takes on some recent trending events. Christian and I are going to do a little segment, I believe, here at the end too, just goofing around. So make sure to stick around. It's a jam-packed episode, but it's going to be a very, very good one. So yeah, let's dive in. So starting off, I want to talk about mindset and why I believe personally it is the driving force behind anything that happens in your world. If you've followed me for a bit, you probably know I'm a little bit of a cheeseball when it comes to this topic, and I go on large tangents on it, which I'm about to do now. So there's something called the law of attraction, and if you haven't heard of it before, it's huge. It pretty much is the belief that by focusing on positive or negative thoughts, a person manifests that into their life. Okay? And really, as touched upon in the last episode, we are all energy. And I'm a firm believer that no matter what you are looking to have or achieve in life, if you can hold on to that idea and envision it for yourself and put it out into the universe, you will attract it like a magnet. Y'all are probably like, okay, Alec, she's on one today. But I don't feel that people realize just how powerful your mind can be. And just how much power that you really personally hold to paint the life that you want for yourself, that you envision for yourself. And studies have shown that the most highly effective, successful people utilize these forms of tactics when it comes to your mindset, when it comes to law of attraction, to be able to obtain their success and be able to, bring whatever it is into the world. So I want to start off by talking about some different kinds of manifestation practices out there. I also know Zoe's used all different kinds too, so we'll kind of pan over to Zoe here in a moment too and talk about ones that she's done. But of course, and then also Duke, our guest who's coming on, he's used his own different forms that we'll learn from too in a bit. But yeah, we can even start off by talking about two main ones that I like to personally use. And one in particular, it's just a small tweak, but paying attention to your verbiage is really, really important. So instead of saying things like, I hope XYZ happens, or I want XYZ to happen, instead replacing it to, I will do XYZ. There's way more power to that word, I will, right? Or I already have XYZ. And, it's important that we're choosing those words that have, powerful impacts behind them, because that also impacts the way our brain pattern works and the way that we attract certain things into our world. It starts with our language first. Secondly, writing out affirmations on a whiteboard or a note, sticky note. Maybe you could put it in front of you in your bathroom, wherever. The most important thing is that every single day you're able to begin your day seeing those affirmations, and every day choosing to verbally, say them out loud. And again, this is also going to allow your brain pattern to slowly start to shift, and it'll make your brain more focused on what it is exactly that you're manifesting. And I mean, I think the most important thing to stay on too is the law of attraction. You know, it's not just like magic. You can't just be like, oh, I would like a new car tomorrow. I would like it to show up in the parking lot. Maybe by luck that might happen for you. But with mindset, manifestation, the law of attraction, you have to also be showing up each day, working toward those things as you're putting out into the universe as well. And the universe will gift you with those things that you're working toward. And I'm a firm believer in that. My favorite quote of all time, if you guys don't know, it's the answer will always be no if you never ask. So I want to challenge you guys, simply ask the universe for what you want more often. And do it through writing, verbalizing, make it concrete. But so Zoe, talk to me. What are some of the mindset practices that you've used? Do you do like the writing it on a whiteboard, like what I do, or what are your ways that you've been able to kind of incorporate into your world?
Well, you were the first person that I guess I would say I started actively manifesting with. Because I didn't really, I would always have like pent up energy and I didn't know where to like place it. So when I like discovered like, I guess, vision boarding and like journaling and things like that, that's when I kind of could understand like where I could place that energy. Also, a really good friend of mine, Kathy, she taught me how to also organize my thoughts and like help with a manifestation technique, which was like the 5-year plan. So like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? People probably don't think of that as a manifestation tool because they mostly see as like, oh, that's what you do when you went to grade school and like they asked you what you want to be when you grow up. But little like that is manifestation. So for me, I would say that journaling, vision boards, also like daydreaming. I feel like a lot of the time they tell us not to daydream because, I mean, they think it's not productive. They think it's, a child's hobby, but it's not. Like, it's how we bring things into fruition, everything has energy. So those thoughts that you have, they transfer. So, I will say that, like, I do have bouts where I, like, get very anxious and I'm like, oh, I like spiral out because I'm like, I've had one bad thought. So like that bad thought's going to turn into another bad thought. And then that's going to ruin all the things that I worked for. And I should say right there, that is not the case. That is anxiety, and anxiety, they're just thoughts. They're not, it's not real. When you do take the time to envision what you want, and then you put those, I guess, that energy behind it, that's what creates the goals that you want to. And the universe isn't out to get you. So like you harboring that anxiety and thinking, oh my gosh, my life is ruined because I had that one mean thing to say about myself, or I had 10 mean things to say about myself, that doesn't automatically wipe out all the good things that it's already coming to you, because the universe wants to fight for you. It wants to be there for you. It's on your side. And I think that goes into another conversation of like karmic debt and karmic cycles and things like that. But to answer your question, I do think daydreaming, vision boards, definitely. I love a good collage, journaling. Those are my tools of manifestation.
I love that. You know what? Something that I really like that you just shared too is like how it's important to recognize that we're not like, nobody is a perfect being, and like we're human. And so it's natural that you will sometimes have a negative thought, And so that's why it's so important to even start practicing these mindset, practices, or start utilizing different affirmations, practices, because it starts to allow your brain to recognize when those negative thoughts are entering and figuring out how to kind of reroute it to go the other direction, and to kind of like nip it in the bud when you start having a negative thought of like, before it spirals, because that's what negative thoughts do. They literally, you have one and then it snowballs and then it just, before you know it, it's out of control. And so, Yeah, I love that. So I know I talked about that a lot of really, highly successful people utilize different forms of manifestation and the law of attraction, all that kind of stuff. And one of my very favorite stories was actually Jim Carrey, who's one of my all-time favorite actors. And he actually uses this. And so there's this video of him where he was on Oprah. It's a very famous video, and he shared how he utilized the law of attraction to manifest what he has in his world now. So I thought we'd share that video really quick. This is like, I've watched this video like 170 times, maybe more, because of how much I love it. But yeah, let's watch this.
Yeah, if you guys go into my live. Really
Yep.
quick, and then I'll go ahead and play it.
Sound.
In life, everybody around you is a teacher for you. If you're in a bad relationship right now, you are a student of how to have a better relationship. If you're in a bad situation with your boss, that is a teaching situation for you to learn how to get yourself a better boss. Who would have thought in all of the years of the Oprah show that Jim Carrey would be one of our greatest teachers? Okay. Obviously you knew somewhere inside yourself that you were destined to be famous, because I think it's really a marvelous thing, that visualization thing you did. Do y'all read about this or hear this? That you used to go up on Mulholland Drive and park
every night
and visualize seeing yourself as...
Yeah, I would visualize,
This is when you were broke and poor.
Right, having directors interested in me and people that I respected
Never seen
saying,
this
I
story.
like your
It's
work
crazy.
or whatever that is. And I would visualize things coming to me that I wanted or whatever.
This was in like 1987, 85.
Yeah.
And
I had nothing at that time, so it was like, but it just made me feel better. It made me, at that time, all it really was for me was kind of making me feel better. I would drive home and think, well, I do have these things, and they're out there. I just don't have a hold of them yet, but they're out there.
Okay, so you would get this from what, self-help books or whatever?
Yeah, self-help section.
Self-help section.
They've renamed it the Jim Carrey wing.
So didn't you write yourself a check? I heard that you did. Is that true?
I wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and I gave myself 5 years, or 3 years maybe, and I dated it Thanksgiving 1995, and I put it in my wallet, and I kept it there, and it deteriorated and stuff, but then just before Thanksgiving 1995, I found out that I was going to make $10 million on, I think it was Dumb and Dumber, maybe.
Dumb and Dumber, yeah.
Yeah.
So you visualize yourself like...
Yeah.
Visualization works if you work hard.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. You can't just visualize and then, go eat a sandwich.
I love that. That was such a powerful moment for me, because I was not a person who did visualization or thought about my belief system in such a practical way. But I learned a lot from Jim Carrey on that show, and he is absolutely correct.
I'm literally gonna cry.
See it?
This is crazy.
And believe it.
So powerful, right?
It is a lot easier to achieve it. So thank you, Jim, for reminding us of that lesson. And it doesn't mean that for every person that writes the $10 million check that's going to...
I'll say it again here. If you can see it and believe it, it is a lot easier to achieve it. You might hear my dog also snoring in the background. But that's why it's so, so important to not only be verbalizing these things, but be writing them out. The fact that he did one of the law of attraction practices himself, where he wrote himself a check for $10 million and then, started getting to work and then manifested. Mulholland Drive, for those of you guys who don't know, it's one of the most famous streets in the Los Angeles area where a lot of celebrities live, that kind of stuff. And he would go up there and sit and visualize this is the life that I will have. And I love the other thing too that he said is that he said, well, I do have these things. They're out there. I just don't have a hold of them yet, but they're out there. And that's important. That's so important. And it's the same for anybody who's listening right now. Anything that you want in your world that you see for yourself, you feel like you were placed on this earth to have, you already have those things. They're just not here yet. Yet is the key word. And I'm such a firm believer in that. And so, so before we go into our next video, which is going to be a preview of our guest that's going to come on, I want to talk about something that actually recently happened to Zoe. Because Zoe and I, we always bat back and forth. Positive energies. We throw that at each other. We're like, yes, we got this. Like everything's unfolding. Or, something that we often talk about too is just like, if something exciting happens to me, like, woohoo, that's a win for us. Something happens to Zoe, we're like, yes, that's a win for us. Like, it's important to remember that there is enough room at the table of success for every single person to eat. Every person. And so whenever somebody you love wins, like, you better be clapping because you won too. That's exciting. And so recently Zoe went through some, interesting life events, and she made some really bold decisions. And it was actually crazy because when she decided to go with her heart and make those bold decisions, the door opened for other opportunities. So let's talk about that, Zoe. Why don't you tell me? This happened a week ago.
Yeah. I was at my previous job a music director for a college radio station, one that I hold near and dear to my heart still. So I came to East Carolina 2019, and I didn't have very many friends, and I just knew that I had a dream, which was to be an actress, a producer, an entertainment journalist. I just wanted to do it all. Anything that I could find an avenue into the entertainment business, I was going to do it. Like, you were not going to push me out. So when I found out we had a radio station through my advisor, because I was actually trying to get an internship at NBC. And they were like, sorry, you have to be like a little older to get that internship. They were like, try the radio station and then work your way up. I was like, we have a radio station? That's amazing. So I walked in there, very Rachel Berry energy. And I said, I want to be on the radio. And they were like, okay, go fill out the applications over there. So I was there for a couple of years, and I got promoted to be the music director, and I loved it. It was an opportunity for me to meet DJs, to promote new music, to, help artists do the things that I would hope someone would want to do for me as an artist trying to like make their mark on the world. So I felt honored to have that position. Every year we get a new station manager because the old one graduates. So we got a new station manager, and sadly, her methods of running the station, she didn't feel as if I was adequate enough, even though I had prior experience before being the music director. She felt as if they didn't match how she would like to run it. So although I was heartbroken and really upset, just to, I guess, benefit both of us, the station and, myself, I just decided to separate myself from the station, and I resigned. It was a really, really hard struggle. I had written the resignation letter. I had called Alec, and I was like, I do not know what to do. I got this email from my boss, and I read the letter. Of course, I'm a sensitive soul, so like I always am like, I don't want them to be mad at me, or like I don't want them to think that I'm being mean. And Alec was like, no, what she said was pretty rude for her to be your boss. And it seems like the things that she had done previously didn't seem like she was trying to look out for you anyway. So I did have to acknowledge that. I can't always blame myself for everything, even though previously I did before. So I put in my resignation, and I was terrified. I figured like she was going to call me, she was going to blow up on me and be like, I can't believe that, Zoe, how dare you, and this is disrespectful, and basically like she should be able to like be mean to me, and I should be able to take it. And that should be how it is, like she can say anything to me, she can write me up, she can do whatever, and I should just choke. So I didn't take that, and I just sat in my own panic. And while I was doing that, Alec was like, listen, literally, she said the best thing to me. And within seconds of sending that email, like a miracle had happened, manifestation happened. So she said, you did the right thing. And remember, when one door closes, another one opens. And literally, right when she said that, I got a call from a casting director to be part of a video for a very large YouTuber. And now I'm in quarantine getting ready to film that video. And I'm nervous and excited. And I don't know how to thank Alec, the universe, my ancestors enough for the opportunity, but I am in it to win it. And the way that I will thank everyone is providing the things that they need. But yeah, it's just crazy how I went from 30 seconds ago thinking my life was over and I was going to be blackballed from the industry simply because my college radio station manager said that I was messy and useless. And then I went to being cast and having the opportunity to be in a very large video for a very well-known YouTuber. So yep, that's what I have to say. I guess another incident too was with my friend Sydney, who also is a participant too. We were talking about manifestation in the universe, and she was saying how she was down and out and she needed money and she didn't know how she's going to get it. It's still COVID, still a pandemic. People still have abnormal needs for work. When I mean abnormal, I mean they need you to be there 4 days out of the week for 16 hours doing impossible jobs, or they need you to, I don't know, they just need weird requirements. So she's a college student, she can't have kind of fluctuating hours. She needs a set schedule because she is still in school. So she was panicking and she was like, I have literally $7 in my bank account. And then the casting director called me and was like, hey, do you have any friends that would like to be in the video? And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, they would still make $1,000 just for quarantining. And, if they get picked to be in the video, that's great. They have more opportunity to make money. And if they don't, they still get $1,000. And she didn't want me to submit her at first, but I did it anyway because I was like, girl, you're great. You should be in the video. And she had an interview and she got casted. And now we're in quarantine, not together, but in the same building. So, yep, manifestation works, You especially when you're grateful and when you put out a genuine request and you're like, I need it, it's going to happen. You just put faith and belief, it'll get there. So yeah,
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. There's a couple of things that I think we should all take away from that, and that is, number one, recognizing when something is no longer serving you and being okay to let it go, right? So that's something that's important, right? Zoe gives me way more credit than I feel like I deserve with that situation. But maybe in that situation, the second message to think about is that people are put into your life for a reason. There's a quote, and I'm actually about to butcher it, but I think it's people are put into your life for, it's a reason, a season, or for something else. I don't know exactly what that quote goes, but sometimes people will come into your life for just a season, a short amount of time. And for whatever, explanation that is, they probably were here to teach you something. And I am also a firm believer in that anybody who's in your world, that there's something for you to learn from them. And it sounds like also as well, you were meant to be in your friend's life, because in that moment, she didn't even really want you to, submit her, but you still went ahead and did it anyways. And because of that decision to be bold enough to still say no, this, my friend, she deserves, a win here. She's going through a really hard time. The universe granted her with these resources to provide. And yeah, so I mean, I feel like anytime that you also, the other thing too is remembering that if it's for you, it will be for you. if it's meant to be for you, you will have it, you will receive it. And yeah, so I'm so proud of you and I'm excited to keep
You need to give yourself all the credit because, like, literally, I don't know if I would have sent that email if you hadn't been on the phone. Like, I was having a breakdown. I felt like no one could understand. Talking to my parents, my dad was like, "You need to do it this way and this way and this way," and I was like, "You don't understand. Like, she's mean to me."
Yeah.
But also, like, I was like, "This is my like passion. This is my craft." And I know not everyone in the entertainment business is going to be like super sweet and caring, because it's entertainment and literally it's cutthroat. So I was like, do I just put up with it? Is this my like paying my dues, or like do I just take the L? Because the last thing I want to do is like not have a good experience, or like for someone to have the opportunity to say that I was ill-equipped or I was a bad person or I had a terrible work ethic. So if you were not on that phone and you were like, yes, this is what you say, this is how you like say it, and send it, I don't know if I would have done it. And I am very grateful for you. And yes, you're right. Everyone is in your life for a reason. And you are my creative soulmate. Sorry, Christian.
So
I was also
go
going to
ahead.
say with this, you have to remember this or better. Like whenever you're
Yes.
in down and out and like you're literally you're in the dumps and you feel like why me? It's this or better. Something
Yes.
better is coming to you if you don't get what you want.
The day that you plant the seed is not the day that you eat the fruit. So, going into our next section, we will be welcoming our guest, but before then, I want us to just get a little taste of how his mind works. And he actually posted this video this morning, and he probably doesn't even know I'm going to share this video, but I'm going to because it's just phenomenal. I love it. So he talks about a study that was done that has to do all about your mindset and abundance, and it's just so beautiful. So let's go ahead and let's play this so we can kind of get a feel for Duke.
I read some very fascinating research about the science of the abundance mindset. So what is the abundance mindset? Basically is this perspective, this way of thinking about yourself and the world, and a belief that there is enough for everybody. There's enough for everybody to go around.
Enough to eat at the
So
table
there's
of
no
success, baby.
There's no limit to the amount of wealth, value, or any of that that exists. And the thing is, wealth, success, all of that, it's like energy. It can't be created or destroyed, only transferred. There already is enough of it. It just needs to be transferred, right? So there was this study done in, it was either 2018 or 2019. I wrote a blog about this as well, and so for those that are interested in reading the study, I'll post the link to my blog, and in that blog it has a link to the study itself, so you can take a look at that and reference that if you would like, but I will summarize it for you. Basically, I'm going to get back into the sun here. I'm out walking around in Fort Worth here.
Beautiful.
But basically, this team of Dutch researchers, they wanted to explore the psychological impact of the abundance versus the scarcity mindset. And the way that they did this was they put the test subjects through this game where they gave them
So I think it's kind of crazy that he like went and read this study and then just kind of elaborating on it. Do you want me to? How far do you want to show this?
Oh, keep going.
I want to keep the.
Yeah.
You want to bring some? Tell people to go.
No, I want to hear the message.
All right.
I want everyone to hear the message.
A bunch of tasks to complete, and if they were successful, they would be rewarded with a token, and if they were unsuccessful at a task, they would, be penalized and a token would be taken away. And they did 2 different run-throughs of this experiment. In the first experiment, all of the subjects were given 1 token to start. So you can imagine if you get something wrong, you don't perform or whatever, then you're out. So this was meant to put and frame the test subjects into the scarcity mindset, right? The second run through that they did, they gave all of the test participants 10 tokens to start, which were, more than abundant to basically allow the players to keep playing for a long time. And, they did a couple of other tests as well, which again can be found in the link to the study for all those that are interested. But basically, the takeaway was that when they performed MRI scans or it was like fMRI, they performed a brain scan of the participants in each scenario while they were performing the tests or the tasks. And it was demonstrated with statistical significance that the scarcity mindset increased levels of cortisol, so the stress chemical or hormone or whatever. I don't know what the correct terminology is there, but the mechanism in your body and brain that induces stress and anxiety. So it increased cortisol levels.
It's cortisol,
and it decreased confidence.
Isn't that crazy?
In the subjects. So
Yeah, no, I can't
what's the implication of that? Well, I think it's very fascinating because the amount of tokens that like there was nothing, it was just arbitrary, the tokens, right? Sure, the closest analog to that in life would be money, resources. Some people start off into a family that has more wealth than others, in some cases significantly more. However, just the frame of mind, even when that money was worthless. So think about it, this game, the tokens were completely worthless. There was no actual value that they had intrinsically. Even just the mindset of not having enough was enough to mentally debilitate the same person, as opposed to the opposite line of thinking,
It's crazy.
which
Your mind
is
so
I have
powerful.
enough, I am worthy.
That's
What-
powerful.
What was that?
Oh, I said that's it. I just said that's so powerful. Like your
Yeah.
mind is so powerful. You feel like, just the thought of feeling like you don't have enough and putting that out into the universe, having those thoughts can then even trickle over to the way that you produce results. Because like he was saying, it actually chemically imbalances your brain to increase stress levels. And like that's science there, how mindset is just so valuable to be able to develop and work on.
Yeah, it is something I had to practice a lot in the Army, was keeping a positive mindset.
Yeah, because you have
But
to
that's-
stay focused when you're
Yeah,
in the.
I feel like when you have a positive mindset as well, your thoughts are much more clear, and you're able to make
It's a better decision.
better decisions.
Yeah. Well, I think that was kind of the message from it. So that's just kind of a taste here. So we're getting ready to welcome our guest. We're getting ready to welcome our guest here in just 1 second. This guest in particular, I have actually had the pleasure of knowing for years. And this year in particular has been so incredible to really just watch him step into his purpose fully. And we have so much to learn from him. And I'm just really, really excited to be able to have him here. I feel so honored. So welcome, Michael.
Oh. Thank you, Alec. It's great to be here. Very thankful and honored. I'm excited to be, part of the show and to see it grow over time. So thank you.
Absolutely. So I thought we would first start off by kind of addressing, the lows, if you're open to it. You had some serious, life changes that led to you kind of altering everything, the way that you do things, the way that you work, your mindset, even your environment, and pretty much everything was impacted. So can you walk us through a little bit about where that began, why it made you take action to change your life, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, let's see. It's July, almost August now, so it's almost been a year. But my fiance at the time and I were just about to have our wedding. It was about 6 weeks away, and we decided to go our separate ways, which of course was a very traumatic experience. But it really was a wake-up call for me to reevaluate all aspects of my life and how I had gotten to that point. And that wasn't absolute rock bottom for me, but it definitely was a big wake-up call, and I just knew that I needed to make a change, better improve myself for the better. And so I just had this longing inside of me to get a change of scenery, being from Boise, Idaho, and having lived there my whole life up until that time. I knew that it would be a breath of fresh air for me to get a change of scenery. And so I sold off most of my stuff and got in my car and drove to Texas. And that was in October of last year, and started again. And, since that time have really been, have put myself more on to a path that I feel good about, I guess we'll say. And there were a lot of things that I wanted to get started in my life and had done a ton of research on, and had, read all the books and everything, but just didn't take action. And that moment was kind of like a breaking point where I realized that it was time to take action. And that's definitely the short version of the story, but
Spark Notes version.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that was a very impactful experience, and since that time, I've since reconnected with Brittany, who is now my wife, and we actually we ended up getting married at the courthouse here about a month ago, and that was quite the ordeal. So kind of came full circle, really.
Well, I am so incredibly proud of you. I know I've tried to share that, I've shared that with you probably 5 different times over just watching your life unfold over social media, but I really can't even begin to say enough of how proud I am of you. I know that it's not easy to just kind of go with your gut and pick up and move and start over, and that can sometimes be a scary decision to go ahead and make. But even Christian and I kind of had, obviously ours was a little bit different, but in ways we've had similar scenarios, experiences, Christian deciding to join the military, move and leave everything, me obviously following love and leaving and moving and restarting. But I will share, even from my experience at least, I always feel like on the other side of unknown, that's where you grow the most, And
Absolutely.
yeah. And so, I was so excited when you first started posting your videos. And Christian and I, we started laying in bed and we were streaming your YouTube videos, and I just couldn't help but be excited, especially when I first started seeing you first dive into it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a beautiful journey to watch Michael go on. And it has been. So when I first started watching you posting, 2 topics I remember you shared early on was minimalism and journaling. And you had kind of shared that both in the beginning were detrimental to your overall focus and just the beginning of like your mindset building. Is that right? And if so, how has that been something that to this day remains important to you, or how has that evolved over time now that we're looking at a year later?
Well, I think the minimalism thing is kind of funny because really I just didn't. I wanted to be able to drive to Texas in a Honda Civic and not haul a big trailer behind me or anything. So part of that was very like utilitarian and practical of like, yeah, I just don't want to have a lot of stuff. But once I showed up, I mean, and I'm basically have this flexibility. I'm able to move very quickly and fit all my stuff into a car and just go where I need to go. That was when I kind of honed in more deeply onto this concept of, well, I'm just going to live this way for the next little bit. And funny, I very quickly started to understand what was really important through living that way. I like, just to give some background for any of the listeners out there that aren't familiar with me. Basically, I showed up when I had moved to Texas. I showed up and I didn't bring any furniture with me at all. So I slept on the floor.
Wow.
And I didn't have a desk or a couch or anything. I did go buy a desk so I could at least work. And I was like, I'm gonna sleep on the floor. It's gonna be so good for my back. My posture's gonna be great. It's gonna be so good for me. And I made it like maybe 2 weeks like that. And I was like, oh, I don't know about this. I'm awake. I wake up in the morning. I don't sleep in, that's for sure. But really, in saying all that, what I learned was just what's important, and it's not possessions, it's the people that you spend time with, and the purpose that you ascribe to your moments, because there really is not much that's needed to live a good life. It's really mostly in your thinking. And I think that it was Marcus Aurelius who said, something to that effect. Not much is needed to live a good life. It's all in your way of thinking. So I definitely embraced that mentality and found it to be very true. But I definitely, there were, like, I didn't bring any tools with me, and I couldn't put together the desk without there was like this other side to it where it was like, okay, there are some things that I do need in order to function. So journaling, to address your other part of the question, journaling, I wouldn't say it it's been like with minimalism, there's pros and cons to that. I wouldn't say that there's really anything that's been detrimental in terms of journaling. It was something that I had never done before. Went through this emotional trauma, and I needed to get my thoughts on the paper, and I did. And I realized that it was making me more emotionally intelligent to use a journal and get the thoughts out of my head onto the page, because then I can actually analyze them, instead of just having them all bouncing off the sides of my skull, wanting to get out somehow. So I love journaling. I'll never stop doing it. I think it's probably the closest thing to therapy that isn't actually therapy, because you're and the way that I do it, I'm not using a prompt. I'm just simply writing down what I'm thinking and feeling in that moment, and then I'm looking at it and being like, where is that coming from exactly? So it creates a moment of reflection for me to analyze my behaviors, my thoughts, and my emotions.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
A couple of things I want to touch on. So first, initially, like I love the symbolism of just that you first only had a desk. And so just thinking about like, it's like you came to this new place and you're like, I'm going to work on me. And the only thing you have is a desk. Like that's the focus.
Yeah.
Right. And so I love that visualization, but obviously, yes, eventually you needed a bed too. But,
yeah, I definitely, for anybody out there who knows me, they know that I have a tendency to take things to the extreme. This is no different than that. So
yes, I love that. So then I want to touch on too. So with you talking about journaling, you said, you know what, that's something that I feel like was really valuable to me. I'm going to continue to do it. I was able to become more analytical with my thoughts. I'm curious to know two things on that. Do you feel that it, added to the growth as far as it goes with like your communication skills? And then also, what are your thoughts on ensuring that you're writing on the bad days as well as the good days and not just the highlights?
yeah, I mean, I absolutely believe and feel that it does increase communication skills from the standpoint of if you and I, get into some argument, like if we're great friends and we're doing a bunch of stuff together, like maybe we're even business partners or something, so there's like a dynamic there that requires us to both be present, and there's like some sort of argument or disagreement between us, and I go and I write about it, and I kind of like ask myself, okay, why is she like this? Why am I like this? What are the underlying motivations, fears, like stress points, pain points, all that. And again, it's all theoretical. It's more, maybe I will, maybe I won't know that for sure at that time when I'm writing it down, excuse me. But that allows me to take a step back from this, like if we're having an argument about something, allows me to take a step back from that and reflect, and then I can come back with an intelligent,
Response.
emotionally mature response.
Right.
And so that's been very valuable to me when those situations inevitably come up over the course of my life. I absolutely believe that it helps with communication. And as far as making sure that the journal gets written in on a bad day, I mean, that's really when I'm the most motivated to write in the journal, because that's when I feel the most, like in the moment where I feel the most anxiety about something or fear or, any sort of very negative emotion. I definitely feel the most compelled to write about it, because I really want to kind of do the best I can to understand the underlying motivation behind that in my own mind, best that I can, because usually, like if I get, if I'm really frustrated about something, it's usually not coming from that thing itself. It's coming from something that's much bigger picture. That's just kind of like a trigger for that. So yeah, I mean, I think in terms of journaling, at least for me, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but for me, I definitely find the most value in journaling on the bad days. And some of the good days, I don't even remember to write down things in my journal.
Yeah.
Actually, so.
That's interesting. So, it's funny because I think I remember the actor Matthew McConaughey. He just came out with a book called, I think it's the Green Light, right? And
Yes. Uh-huh.
journaling was a really valuable thing for him too. And for years, he made sure that bad days, good days, all of it, he was journaling so he could do self-reflection and realize like, well, when I am going through a bad, rut, page back through and see, well, what was I doing on the days that were good? What was I eating? How was I thinking? How was I showing up? Like where was my environment? Like, so then that way he could begin to create a formula to pull himself out when those, bad times would arise or stuff like that. So, yeah, I think, journaling is just so incredibly valuable. Another thing I want to talk to you about is before you hopped on, we talked a lot about, like affirmations and like writing them out. And I'm a firm believer that it is so valuable to not only verbalize the things that you want to bring into your world, but writing them out too, so you can visualize it, have it in front of you. And if I remember correctly, I believe you have some mantras that were really important for you to write down and have in front of you as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, they're things that are evolving over time. I did write down a mission statement.
Mission statement, right? Okay.
And parts of that I take, and I be sure that every time I write in my journal, I have that memorized and I write it out as a reaffirming mechanism. Just as you're saying, I think it's very important to declare the objects of your desire, or the desired state of mind that you wish to inhabit, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also remember another thing I took away, which you might not know this, but this actually helped me. Something that you said, several things you said this year actually helped me. But there was one that you had talked about with the gym. And it was at a time where I was like just getting back into the gym. And, you had mentioned that when you were first getting back into it, it wasn't such, so much of a focus about how much weight you were lifting or how much time you were spending there. The only thing you were focusing on was routine, making sure that every day you were showing up and you're starting to create this pattern, in your mind, training yourself that you were going to be showing up every single day. And that was the first step for you before the rest kind of fell into place. So with that being said, how valuable do you think mindset and routine, are to one's overall success?
I think they're huge. I think that's 90% of the battle, really, is just having faith that if you show up and continue to show up over and over, that good will come out of that. And maybe you don't understand what that'll look like, or how long it will take, or in what form it will happen, but by simply being there, that you're kind of pushing back on the gravity, the force that's weighing you down. By taking action repeatedly, you're pushing back against that, and every bit of force applied, with enough consistency over time eventually lifts the weight. And this is something that I believe very strongly. And there are some areas of my life that I'm much better at being consistent in than others. So it very much is. And really when I reflect on, things that haven't gone so well, it often comes down to a lack of consistency, and a well-defined routine or pattern, that just that has not been established. So yeah, I mean, like whether it be working out or business or anything, it's really all the same in a lot of ways, and those principles are universal and can be applied to all. And yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a firm believer that mindset and the routine are the majority of what it takes, and because you're what you're up against is fighting the same battle, really. Everybody's, if you're like in business, there's some competition there, inevitably, and everybody else is fighting the same battle, and it's definitely a marathon and not a sprint. So, everybody's motivated in the beginning, but it's discipline that wins, tortoise versus the hare type outcome there. So
I love that. It's discipline that wins.
that's right.
It's true. Like consistency is what overall in the long run is what produces the results. Every day, showing up, making that commitment, long term. So that kind of leads me into my next piece here too. We talked a lot about law of attraction before you joined too. We kind of talked about my beliefs on it, and I am just a firm believer that you can achieve anything that you put your focus on. And to me, if you are making some sort of progress each day, like what we were just talking about, consistency, even if it's small, you will get there. And, the vision, the consistency is what's important to hold on to. Like I shared, for me, like different practices are like the vision board. And that helps me focus on what it is that I'm manifesting. So I'm curious to hear what your own opinion is on the law of attraction, manifestation, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I absolutely believe and subscribe to the law of attraction, the concept of manifesting things into your life. And one of the best books that I've ever read is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and I've read it 4 times now. And the first 3 times I don't think I understood. I still don't think I fully understand, comprehend the book, but that is truly the manifestation Bible. And I really think that it's the law of attraction is something that gets very, it sounds so theatrical and so magical and so alluring, but really, it's a very simple concept that, faith that, the object of your desire is attainable, mixed with the courage to ask for it, or to find it, to have it, or to be it, mixed with the persistence and the persistent action taken over time. That those 3 things together are really what the law of attraction is to me. For example, I like to think about it in kind of the most straightforward analogy of romantic attraction. Like if I want to get a date with the cutest girl in school, well, one, I have to believe that it's possible. I can't sit there and be like, oh, well, like she's out of my league or whatever, because if that's my mentality, then I've already lost. There's no, like, I will have imposed a limiting belief upon myself. And so to, the law of attraction is basically first to believe and to visualize that already exists and it's already there. It just needs to find a home. It needs to find an outlet. And so, great. Well, I can believe that I can get a date with the cutest girl in school, but if I don't have the courage or the confidence to, like, go up to her and state my intention and to ask a question, to ask her to go on a date with me, then it won't happen either. So I think there's this big misconception, and it's really in the name, that the law of attraction, simply by like believing and desiring for something, that it will come to you. And it's more, there's two energies finding each other, is what I believe, and that comes from, like we talked about earlier, this concept of I forget what the word you used, but basically writing things down.
Oh, affirmations.
Like, yeah, affirming
Yeah.
affirming your desire by writing it down and doing that consistently. If you don't tell if you don't state what you want and ask for it, it will not be given to you, even if you believe that you can have it. And so that's really, it involves action. In order to, the law of attraction to work involves action. And I think that is very easy, at least for me, when I started getting into this law of attraction stuff, thinking that I could just want it. But if I sat there and asked for it and didn't ask for it with my action,
Right.
and with courage and conviction, to think that would happen was just false. So, there have been several things in my life that have happened because I put these principles into place, and other things that I'm starting to see happen because of these principles, but they take time. There's no such thing as an overnight success by any means. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm a very, very firm believer in the law of attraction, manifestation, and I think it doesn't really matter how things work as much as that they do, and that other people have had success and used that kind of stuff to good effect, and that's good enough for me to at least try. So
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite quotes is actually, what you seek is seeking you. And I feel that there's so much power behind that statement because it's so true that, what you are brave enough to be able to put out into the universe and then meet it with action, those are the things that you start to really see show up in your life. And we talked about earlier too, you'll see when you play this back, we played one of my favorite clips, and it was of Jim Carrey. And he's a huge believer in the law of attraction. It's something that he really used to be able to, leverage himself toward the success that he saw for himself. And he actually had written himself a $10 million check for acting services, gave him, I believe it was 5 years, had it sit in his pocket, and then the rest was a lot of visualization and work. And so he would drive up to this famous street that he, in LA, that he saw himself, the life that he was meant to be living one day. And then he'd be, doing all the work, going to the casting calls, all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that he said was, well, I do have these things. They are out there. I just don't have a hold of them yet, but they are out there. And
no, that's definitely, how I how I think of it is that all of those things exist already because you have, you as a human have the ability to visualize them, and that makes them true, and there's no limit to the amount of like success and all of that that's out there. It just needs to be transferred. It just needs to be brought into this reality. And it sounds super out there and weird. Seriously, like it sounds if you're very like analytical and scientific in your thinking, it's hard to kind of have it. It really is just faith, right? The faith and belief. But yeah, I think that's great. I love that story. It's a perfect example of those, that in action and in success.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever read the book The Secret, but I feel like that would be one that you would really love. It's all about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I haven't read that book, but I have heard of it. Bob Proctor, he's always talking about The Secret, and Bob Proctor, he's big thought leader in this space, and he's very vocal about how reading Think and Grow Rich was like the turning point in his life, and anyway, he's got a great story. I'll have to check that book out.
Yes,
for sure.
So we also played your video before you hopped on about the abundance mindset, and I found it so fascinating. I thought we would touch on that too a little bit more before we get into the next piece I want to pick your brain on. But I thought that was so interesting that they conducted this whole research, and the coins, or whatever, the tokens, I think is what you said, how they didn't have really any real value, but that it would produce, just having that stress that they felt like they had less, produced the actual chemical in their brain to create stress. And that is such a crazy thing to really unpack and recognize just how much power your mindset has,
Absolutely. I was very, very fascinated when I read through the study and saw that they were able to find evidence that inducing a thought and a mindset of scarcity could basically inhibit the capabilities of the brain, and like things like make people more stressed and less confident, two things that are definitely going to make it harder to attract the things that they desire. And at the end of the day, I think that the brain is a lot more capable than we truly understand, and we never fully will understand it. But there's little clues left by those who have been successful. And so much of those clues I often find, from studying that, comes down to their state of mind and their, way of thinking. And even the so often successful people tend to have this mindset that they're not only is there enough out there for all of us, but there's an abundance of it. And everybody is capable of it, especially them, and that they are worthy of having it, and so is everybody. But that it must be found. And so, anyways, yeah, I was very fascinated by it too. So I'm glad that you found value in watching the video, because I have fun making that stuff, and I hope that people out there watch it and find value in it as well. So.
It's great content. Michael produces a lot of really fantastic content on all of his takes. So we'll definitely.
Thank you. The production value is pretty low at this point, but I have fun.
It's good. So another thing that really inspires me about Michael is his entrepreneurial mindset. He is always learning new ways to kind of take it to the next level, and seems to just constantly be open to creating different streams of income, some of those being passive income. And so first, to kind of start us off here, how would you describe to the listeners what passive income is? And why did you feel that it was important for you to start finding different avenues to create it?
Yeah, I think about passive income in this way. If I can, me, myself, anybody, everybody has, or most people have a, activity that they do throughout most of their working time that generates an income, like a job. And even those who are retired or whatnot may have something that they're actively doing. But like for me, like I have a job, right? And so at that job, I exchange my time to receive money for that. And so that's the trade-off that I'm making. But passive income is when I'm making income without trading time.
Right.
And not that it doesn't take any time at all, but rather that I can basically earn money while I'm sleeping. If I can earn money while I'm asleep, then that is definitely passive income. And when I'm not there, and that's really how wealth is created, is through the generation of these income streams, even if they're, 5, 10, 20, 100, whatever, like not very much money on a monthly basis. Having those creates more time. For example, if I have a, full-time job where I work 40 hours a week and I make $2,000 a month doing that, and I need to be there, get paid by the hour. I need to be there for 40 hours in order to generate that much money. Well, if I'm able to create a passive income vehicle that generates $200 a month, then I only have to work 36 hours a week to earn to have the same income. So really, I've effectively, I am trading my time for money, but passive income is trading money for more time. Usually it's getting on the other side of that trade-off and buying time back.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's very valuable, because it's the only thing that we can't get more of in life is time. And it really is something that can be bought within, what we actually are given, in our lifetime. We can't have more of that, but within our daily, routine and whatnot, it is possible to buy more of it and make more choices. So that's the value of passive income to me.
Yeah, I feel like even through the pandemic, like people are starting to recognize how valuable their time really is, And it's crazy because with passive income, it was fascinating for me to kind of learn about in the last year, to just realize that anybody could really start generating passive income if you're willing to learn about some of the different opportunities. So I'm curious, will you share what are some of the, opportunities that interested you as far as creating that passive income?
Yeah, so probably the most alluring one for me is real estate, rental real estate, for several reasons. Because if I buy a house and I rent it out to somebody and able to net a small amount of money after all the expenses are paid, then yes, I am generating a passive income, but there's also an asset attached to that has value and which fluctuates with market movements, but generally tends to increase over time, nominally versus dollars, and it, at a bare minimum, has at least paced with inflation, the past 100 years. So I really like real estate in investing because each investment is its own passive income stream, and it has residual value to it. So, if I go out and I create an online store where I'm selling products and everything, that can be set up in a way to where it is very passive and has a very good profit margin. And again, I'm saying this in terms of the store. This is something that I don't really know a lot about. This is not a way that I make money. So full disclosure on the store. I understand this is something that you guys do. And with that, like there's that moves quicker. Product tastes for products and everything. Consumer preferences, that kind of stuff moves very fast sometimes. And I like real estate because it's very slow moving. And depending on what type of building that there is, there's always going to be a demand, definitely, for people to live. So I like that. I've been doing that since March of this year, renting out real estate. And I also, something that I started doing was this Turo, this rental car app where you can, put cars on there and rent them out to people, much like a rental agency would, but typically it's able to be done at a significant, reduction of cost. And I really just put my car up on there because I wanted to help pay for it, and it ended up working out a lot better than that. And that one's actually fairly active. I have to clean the cars and maintain them, and I'm managing it with my rental homes. I have a property manager for those, and it's not like I said, none of this is completely passive, but those are definitely the two best channels that I've found so far. Something that is completely passive is like investing in dividend stocks or cryptocurrency that you can put into like an interest-bearing account, and I like doing that too. But yeah, I think the best, and this, there's a lot of risks with real estate investing, but I think it's still my favorite because you can, it's easy to get a loan. You can, control a asset that's worth a lot more than the amount of money that you use to buy it. And then when you have a tenant in it, they, pay it off for you. And of course, that's in exchange for you providing them with a clean, safe, nice place to live. Yeah, I started, I've been investing in stocks for a few years now. And so I've been earning passive income, but this year I've really kind of put my foot to the gas, and I know all the benefits. I read all the books, like I said, but I decided to take much more action lately and create more of those avenues. And so far, it's, there's a lot that's gone well and a lot that's gone wrong, and it's all about just adjusting to that and creating systems and making it as passive as possible, because it definitely involves active management in certain aspects. So
Yeah.
I gotta
go ahead.
interrupt here really quick.
Go ahead.
I think it's important that we disclose that we're not financial advisors. And
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah,
not
Yeah,
financial
trouble.
advice.
yeah,
Yeah.
Please don't sue us.
Yeah. Do your research too. But so okay, so quickly I want to hear more about the real estate investment stuff, because that is something that I definitely would love to get more into. And I did, some research over the year, and there's all sorts of different ways to kind of go about it. And, I want to touch on two definitions first for those of you who are maybe new to real estate investment, that kind of stuff. And correct me if I'm wrong at all here. So private money lender and hard money lender. So a private money lender, which I want to say by definition is a term used to describe a loan that's given to an individual or a company by a private organization, or maybe even by an individual, maybe friend, family member, to kind of conduct the first initial investment process. And usually, to break this down, they want to help you out, get into this, whatever investment thing that you're doing, the initial process. Hard money lender, on the other hand, is maybe someone or a company who does it maybe a little bit more as a profession. It's going to be kind of the same thing. They give you the money up front to then purchase the property, to flip or do whatever it is that you're going to do. But I do believe that with hard money route, sometimes maybe the stakes can be a little bit riskier at times. So I know one of the first projects that you had started, giving me insight into was the property that you purchased in Idaho. Like I said, it's a big goal of ours to get into. And I believe that you shared initially for that route, you went the private money lender route. So can you walk me through what that process was like, and just overall what went into buying, flipping, and selling that property? Were there any setbacks you faced with that experience? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so that was the first home that I purchased, and that was back in 2019. I had done a lot of research about the housing market in Boise, and it was one of the hottest markets in the country in terms of price appreciation out of any at that time, and I felt that would continue, for the foreseeable future, and so I had just started learning about real estate. I really didn't know a whole lot about real estate, especially not as a passive income source. But I knew that, that I wanted to participate in the market. And so I thought about, I thought, how am I going to pay for it? Like, how am I going to buy? Because I actually didn't know about, there's a first time home buyers program in Idaho that actually allows you to buy a home without any money down, which I didn't even know about. But what I did was I basically went to a family member who I knew was interested in real estate, and I went to them with a proposition, and basically said, like, if you invest money into a property and I take all of the like the mortgage is in my name, and I basically take all of the risk in that way, and hold on to it for a few years, improve it, and then sell it, and then I'll pay you your money back plus a good return. And that ended up being successful. So the down payment did in fact come from a private money lender who I had a personal relationship with, but it was like 10%. The rest came from a bank. So it was 100% financed. It is possible to buy real estate without any money, and it just takes a little bit of knowledge of how like the certain programs that are available, and if you have a relationship with somebody who maybe wants to put money into something but doesn't want to manage it or take the risk or whatever, it is possible in that way. And so yeah, it was a combination of private money and just conventional lending. But really, the whole plan, I didn't really have a plan for it, to be honest with you, other than that. Um, I and so I found, over this process of finding a place, found one that was very basic and didn't have any upgrades. It was just kind of like a clean slate. It was in a nice neighborhood, and uh, over time, just made, I was in it for 15 months and just made very small value adds here, new light fixtures, paint here and there, new landscaping, and then finally like a whole backyard deck landscaping setup. And when it was all said and done, it cost very little money to do all of those things, and I was very fortunate to have predicted, the market correctly in that it would continue to appreciate at above average rates relative to other, the average market. And so also in that time, I learned more about real estate as a passive income source and the math behind, you know, how like what you need to buy it at, and how to calculate the expenses and the rents and all of that. And I realized that I really couldn't rent it out. Like if I rented it out, so I'm getting ahead of myself. It came to a point where I had gone through this breakup that we talked about earlier,
Right.
and I had wanted to make a change, and I was like, okay, well, I have this asset here. What if I rent it out? And it actually turned out that it was going to lose money every month if I rented it out. And so what I had done was I had scrambled out and bought a property that wasn't going to cash flow because I didn't understand the math behind it at that time. And so I was fortunate enough to have been able to follow through with my original plan, which was to just sell it at a profit because the market ended up appreciating very rapidly, especially with COVID and interest rates being lower, and this very, very strange situation where certain areas of the country are big beneficiaries of migration, Boise being one of them. So it was a pretty tough decision, but I knew what I had to do, because the whole reason I wanted real estate in the first place was not to watch it go up and then sell it at a profit. It was to make income. I guess maybe not that one. That one I just kind of didn't really know what I was doing, but took action, and action ended up being in my favor that way. So really the challenge that I faced with that home was that I didn't buy it at a price that would have made sense for multiple strategies. And now I would never buy a property that I could not also rent out if I needed to and didn't want to live there, for sure.
So I'm curious then there, what would be some of the characteristics that you would be looking for if it was a property that maybe you had the intention to rent out in the future, or one that you wanted to have multiple strategies, like what you just said with? What would you be looking for in the property?
I'd be looking for something that is ugly, that hasn't been renovated in a while, but doesn't have any major like structural issues that need to be replaced immediately. That maybe needs some paint, or anything cosmetic that is going to cost a little bit of money, but doesn't need to happen right away to make it habitable, and is in an area that, again, this is assuming that this is a house that I would live in, but and basically work on while I live there. I don't currently live in a home that I own. I rent right now. But if I were to buy it, would definitely just be it needs work, but cosmetically, and therefore I can obtain it at a price that's low enough to where I can cash flow it without putting a ton of money down as a down payment to buy it. Now that's very very difficult to find in today's market. In fact, depending on where you live, it might be next to impossible. It's definitely not possible in a place like Boise now. And again, we're talking about properties that are like listed on the MLS that are on the open market. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not gonna buy something that's like renovated and nice and has all the juice squeezed out of it already.
So these ones are a little bit more lighthearted. So I saw on one of your recent videos, you had talked about not including caffeine in your daily intake. And then just recently, actually, you started drinking caffeine and you noticed, your caffeine intake was up to like double what the FDA had recommended. I want to know, because I have like a very extreme personality as well. I want to know like how that relationship with caffeine is going.
Well, yeah, it's very funny because for as long as I can really remember, I've been drinking caffeine, and one day I just decided like I'm just gonna stop. Like I'm just gonna be done, and I'm not sleeping well, and I think caffeine's to blame, so I'm just done. And 2 weeks go by, and it's like all of these like like I haven't not drank caffeine on a given day for like a decade at this point, right? And so I'm like in this whole new world, and I make a YouTube video about it, and it's funny because now, almost a year later, that's the most popular video on my YouTube. Like it has the most views. Like it has like, and again, this isn't a lot, right? But it has like 3,500 views or something, which is by far the most.
Yes.
but it's very bittersweet because my like most interacted with and watched video is this video about like how I don't drink caffeine, and it was like this experiment, and I posted a video about it, right? And so since then, because I did start drinking it again, and I have made multiple videos about this, like why, and basically was just feeling very like out of focus in my daily work. Like I found it next to impossible to focus without it, and probably have a problem. I don't know, but I felt very like compelled to like post more videos. Like, guys, like I drink caffeine again. Like this one video can't define me as a guy who never drinks it or whatever. So yeah, very very extreme. But yeah, I mean, I definitely, like today, I think I've probably had 4 or 5 cups of coffee today.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, I used to. I've like decreased my caffeine intake by quite a bit within the last month, I would say. I was drinking like a coffee in the morning and 2 rock stars, and then I would go to right before the gym. I would take like 400 milligrams of pre-workout caffeine. Yeah, I was like at 900 or like 1,200 milligrams a day.
oh man.
Yeah, I mean, it was insane. But now I have like, it'll either be like 200 milligrams in the morning and then 400 milligrams of caffeine in the evening. And I just,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
and like if I don't have caffeine though, I know I still have an addiction. Because if I don't drink in the morning, I'm like, man,
He's in a bad mood.
what is the world coming to? It's gonna end. And then I thought,
I feel that so much, man.
yeah.
I feel it.
I thought this was, I mean, maybe funny isn't the right word for you right now, but looking back, you'll probably find this kind of funny. So my background is in cybersecurity, and I see you had an incident with Coinbase. I actually got one of those text messages, which was really funny because I don't use Coinbase, and I was like, look at these little shitheads trying to scam people. I look at your YouTube, and it's like I lost money from the scam, and I was like, oh man. But like what was?
You think you're smart, and then
dude,
you get scammed on the internet.
yeah, I like to. I don't know how legal this is, but anytime I get a scam call, I go,
He messes with
how
them.
did you get this number? This is supposed to be unlisted by the federal government. And they immediately, they're like, oh shit, man. Like, we called the wrong guy.
Where were you? Where were you in my time of need?
Dude, anytime you need some, if you're like, hey, click this link, I'll open it.
Like, should I click this? Yeah, send it to Christian
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, send it to me. I'll open it in my VM. But at what point did you realize, like, how convincing it must have been convincing, or
Well, yeah, I
were you
mean,
just like
it
overcome by like, well, that's the money you had in there isn't like an astronomical amount, but it's still like, you can do a lot of stuff with that.
well, we were talking about passive income and everything, and I had a couple $1,000s worth of cryptocurrency that I was just holding on Coinbase, which any crypto investor will tell you that is like one of the dumbest ideas, to hold the assets like on an exchange, because if there's some big liquidity event and everybody needs to sell, who knows if the exchange has it or not. But basically, they were like staking the coins on there and skimming a little bit of the return off the top. So you're basically, I had a couple of different coins on there that were producing income, which I really liked. But basically, I had gotten alerts, like text messages alert from my bank multiple times before that were completely legitimate, like fraud alerts and stuff that looked just like this text message that I got from this scammer, and it said like unauthorized login to your Coinbase account. Like click here to basically change your password, right? And so I again, it was very, very ignorant to not be suspicious of that, but it was very convincing. I went through, I literally logged in to my account, so I gave them, yeah, so dumb. I gave
Hand it over,
them,
say, here you go. Take
yeah,
it.
yeah. No, it actually, you say like it isn't fun. It is pretty funny because it's like one of those things that like was so dumb that you just can't help but laugh at it. You're like, oh man. And obviously, taking a financial loss sucks, but for something like that, I can't be really that mad about that because it was a big like lesson to just not be so to just think next time. And you think you're really smart until you do something like that. But as for the moment when I knew, this might make you laugh, but as for the moment that I knew that I'd been completely duped, was I fill in the form or whatever, and then I get like 2 emails from Coinbase, 3 emails, and I like look at it, and it was like, your XYZ coin has been transferred into Bitcoin. Your XYZ coin has been transferred into Bitcoin. Your XYZ coin has been transferred into Bitcoin. And then one final message that was like, your Bitcoin has been sent to another address. So they literally went in and changed all of it into Bitcoin and then just like deposited it into their wallet. And I was like looking at my phone. I was like, no! Just like yelling at the phone.
I don't know if they made the best financial decision there, because Bitcoin's been like slowly decreasing in value over time. So maybe.
Oh yeah, I mean,
maybe
it
they
was
scammed
worth
themselves.
a lot more than it is now, but it's funny. So yeah, I mean that I knew that I wasn't storing my stuff as well as I should, and I just like kept having this like talk about law of attraction. I kept having this kind of like this like dream almost that I was going to get all my like a bunch of my crypto stolen, and then a little bit of it did get stolen, and I was like, okay, well, I deserve that. Fair enough. Point taken. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It has been such a pleasure. It's been so much fun. Anybody, can you share with us, like, where can everybody find you? I know we talked about the Holistic Investor on YouTube. What are your other handles on your different platforms? And you have a blog too, right?
I do. So I have a website as well, and I just started being posting content on here, but I have the holisticinvestor.com
Can I share it?
that yeah, absolutely, that I write blogs on there, and it's very much still a work in progress. But yeah, so that I actually just wrote a blog about the law of attraction, because we had talked about it, in the notes for this, and I felt very inspired to write about it. So I have some stuff on there. It's more of my rambling, musing thoughts than anything at this point. But for people out there who are interested in the kind of stuff that we've talked about today, I do write about it on my blog as well as talk about it on my YouTube channel that was mentioned earlier. And also, my wife Brittany and I, we just started making a podcast. It's definitely we don't have wallpaper and a neon sign behind us while we do it, but it's called the Young Power Couple Podcast, and we talk about kind of our life and our relationship, and the things that we do together to have the best marriage or relationship that we can have. And we haven't had any guests yet so far. We've just made a couple of episodes, just us talking, but the plan is to have guests on in the future. So it's available on all platforms, and I think maybe we can get a link or something. I don't.
Yeah.
It's on some website. I don't remember the name of it.
We'll put the link
at
in.
this time. Yeah, it's been great. Thank you guys so much. Very thankful, and this has been a awesome experience. It's great to sit down and talk with you guys, and yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes and to stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. See ya.
I like that. That's a nice touch.
All right, everybody, we are getting into our next segment, which is tea time.
I thought you're gonna have a tea whistle, a keg.
I know.
Not a keg.
A keg.
A kettle.
I know, we're working on trying to find one that doesn't break my eardrums. We need the sound of a keg. That's what we need.
What sound do kegs make?
I know, what
That's
sound do
what a
kegs
keg
make?
whistle sounds like, but I feel like it resembles maybe a drunk frat boy
Like
catcalling.
puking. Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right, so we got some good stuff collected here. So let's see. Zoe's first topic here was the Lil Nas X Industry Baby song. So Zoe, do you want to first take it away with, what?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it. What were your thoughts?
First of all, I need to tell you how much I love this video and how many times I watched it. It's ridiculous. The cinematography, beautiful.
Chef's kiss.
The artistry,
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, chef's kiss. I was blown away. And the fact that he also attached a fundraiser to this amazing artistry makes it that much more brilliant to me. He did it for the Bail Project, and within 12 hours, he dropped the video at midnight, and before 12 p.m., he raised over $20,000 for the Bail Project.
Wow.
And that is incredible. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, I read some of the comments. I thought it was funny that they were like, every time someone criticizes Little Nas, he just gets more GAY.
Yes.
And I'm like, you can't hurt his feelings.
No.
And also reading the tweets from Jack Harlow and Little Nas, they were talking about like how incredible the treatment for this video was, because Little Nas wrote the treatment for the music video, and people were like, that's incredible for him to just start off in the music industry and like to be so like I don't want to say creative, but so professional and descriptive and just well written. It's like he's been doing it for years. So Jack Harlow got the treatment. He was like, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. And you know the scene where the dancers are nude and dancing, which I don't think they're really nude. I think they have like the special underwear on.
They have a sock on.
A banana hammock.
They're all wearing banana hammocks.
Those are pretty large banana hammocks that they got going there. So I was just assuming that it was special underwear made for the shoot, that, you know, like special dental floss made into underwear. But yeah, so like he was like, I would have been in that shower scene if Little Nas told me to, because he's just that brilliant. And Little Nas was like, wait, hold up, I didn't know that. Can we reshoot the video? And I thought that was really funny. Also, Jack Harlow is very beautiful. Not gonna lie, that's my on-brand type of white boy. I don't know what it does, but all you could do is throw a skateboard in his hand, and I'd been like,
it's a match. What's up, cutie?
it's just like backwards Machine Gun Kelly. I got turned off of Machine Gun Kelly after finding out some things of how he like treated women and stuff, especially women of color, and I was like, yikes. But I'm glad him and Megan Fox are happy, I guess. So yeah. But yeah, this video is great.
So good.
How did you feel about it? So
good. I love it. Last night we watched it. I made Christian watch it. Do you want to play it in the background while I kind of give my thoughts on it? It's so good. He blows my mind. Like, even after watching the release of his last one, which was Montero, right? Isn't that what the last one was? Yeah. The last one, I was already mind blown there, because I was like, the visuals, the storyline, and I was like, the fact that he like is just so like openly him and like willing to like I promised
that he would never hide again.
Yes.
So,
sorry, what?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I
was gonna say when it gets to the phone. Sorry, my bad. When it gets to the phone part, can you pause it, because there's a portion that I want you to see. But go ahead, Alec.
Oh, well, I was gonna say like I am like I freaking will ride or die with the gay people, the LGBTQ plus community every day of my life till I die. And I just love the fact that he is like this icon that is like making it a safe space where, like, you know, those who are growing up who are gay can feel like you can be yourself and that you can do anything. And I mean, like, it's phenomenal. And then he's like, even the last one, I know it got so much controversy within it, but I liked the fact that he twerked on the devil. Like, I was like, hell yes. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I love the fact that he's like playing on the critique that people like say, like, the gay people are going to hell for just like loving who they love. Like, sorry, I don't believe in that. I don't partake in that. I mean, and I feel like people are just uncomfortable.
You ride down a glorious long pole down to hell. Why wouldn't you want that?
Yeah. And so I loved that. And it just seems like he just has such like so much creative intelligence. Like, I love the fact that even after the Satan shoes came out, and there was like so much controversy around that. I mean, I didn't necessarily love the shoes part, but I did love that he like then went and took it now and then created this whole thing. And it's just like, I love that anytime people are like criticizing him for something, he comes out with something next that's beautiful and like on top of it. And he trolls everyone online, and he's just he's amazing. Like, one more thing too that I noticed was the shower scene where he has all the naked dudes dancing. I was mind blown by this, because the women do that actually all the time. There was a screenshot, it was side by side, I wish I still had it, but it was of Cardi B, and Cardi B actually did something like that, like exactly like that, and it was all a bunch of like naked women dancing, but of course it was blurred out, and then of course Lil Nas X does it, and suddenly people are so uncomfortable, losing their mind, like you know, and I'm like, why?
Fetishization of the women, the female body. The choreography that I liked, I appreciated the most. They're mirroring each other in that photo booth, and I watched it so many times, back to back to back, over and over again. And just the energy that they possess in this video. If you watch them, one person will jump and then go down, and then the next, and it's like you see the levels, the visualization that you like. It's so aesthetically pleasing. The person that was watching the video is Colton Hayes from Teen Wolf. So,
no way. Get out of here.
Yes.
Go back to that. No way.
Yes. So when I first
Hold on,
watched
you gotta
it, I
pause
was
it
like,
when you
I've
get
seen
here.
his face before.
Keep going.
And then I was like,
Okay, pause.
Colton Hayes.
No way, that's Colton Hayes?
That's Colton Hayes, yes.
What?
And we all remember when he came out and was like,
You're
I'm
right.
gay.
It was a big thing. Oh
And-
my gosh, Zoe, I didn't even put these two together. That's actually huge. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. What?
And I was like, I can't believe, like, he's giving everyone representation. And I'm sure, like, he grew up watching him. I know it's not like a super big age gap, but like, he was on Teen Wolf and like he left. And I feel as if he said in a statement, I don't like quote me on this, but I feel as if he said in a statement that he was afraid that, you know, coming out as a gay would damage his career. And then, like, look at him now. He's in a Lil Nas X video, and I'm pretty sure he's going to get paid royalties and a fat check. So he doesn't have to worry about his artistry because he's people like Little Nas X are making spaces for people of color, spaces for queer people of color, and people who, you know, at a time wouldn't be able to come out if it weren't for celebrities like Colton Hayes and Little Nas X, like, making that pathway. So
Yeah, I love the fact I was reading
I
one
thought it was
tweet,
incredible.
like obviously his like shower scene, it had a lot of people of color in it, and some people were like pissed online, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay. And then Lil Nas X was like just talking about how like stigmatized like people make it to be like black and gay and be a man, like, right? Or I guess female too, but like he was like, I want to show better representation for like both parts of who I am, and that's why I made this. And like that's why I think it's just so badass. So first off, our next thing here, Tom Holland and Zendaya. Did you see they're officially together? They were caught making out in their car. There is these lovely photos for us to cry about of Miss Zendaya and Mr. Tom Holland
Yikes.
doing their make out.
That's
in the car.
I hate it.
You know,
I hate it. Get it
they're
away from me.
cute. They are
This
cute.
is no, absolutely not. I forbid it. I forbade it.
I feel so weird
Absolutely
even
not.
looking at it, because think about this special moment and somebody's like over there like with their photo like outside their car
Invasion of
snapping this.
privacy. I mean, how do you think you're gonna feel when you're famous and you're like walking Bailey and picking up like dog poop, and Christian's like, "Hey babe, you look beautiful," and you're like, "People can see me."
I think about that all the time. I'm like, I do the most unattractive things when I'm like walking and just like in normal casual life settings. I'm gonna be like picking my boogers, and it's gonna be like all over the internet.
What do you
Like,
mean?
Age 6.
Whatever, you pick.
I
Stars
up the
pick their
dog poop.
boogers.
I
Star-
pick up the dog poop.
Whatever.
Oh, Christian picks up the dog poop.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll bend over straight legged and just like give it a little pop when I stand back up.
But have you ever seen those like those articles that come out and they're like, stars, they're just like you. So mine will be like, stars,
Yeah.
they're just like you. And then it'll be me
They
picking my
sneeze.
boogers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Alex double knuckle in her nose.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, deep in there, I'm picking a wedgie, and they're like, she's just like you.
Are you looking forward to that, Christian, whenever like people are gonna be like, how does it feel being married to Alec Artist? Like, are you prepared for them to like always be looking at you as well?
No, actually. It's like, because I'm like a very pretty private person.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I'm going to react. I'm probably just going to be like, yeah, I just like to go fishing. I don't really know what you guys want from me.
We had
Are you
actually.
gonna tell people you're the bodyguard?
Yeah, actually,
Look at me. Who are you? No.
I do plan on being like, I'm just a bodyguard. Sorry.
We had a couple weird instances when I lived in Fayetteville. Do you remember?
And here
Here?
at Hard Summer.
Oh, yeah, but that's right.
Oh, you're talking about like when you would get like coming back home.
I got recognized.
Oh yeah,
She's famous.
like
She's famous.
I used to get recognized in Fayetteville. Like there was like 3 different times. So there was one time I was at a bar and I was at Patty's. And this girl came up to me and she's like, I'm subscribed to your YouTube channel. Like, I'm such a fan. Can I get a photo with you? And I was with my friend Tara and I was like, is this really happening? Like, I was living for it. I was so excited that had
You're
happened.
like, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, me.
And then there was another time we went to the pawn shop and I was buying like, we were trying to buy like a charger for our computer. And this girl was like, we're at checkout and she's like, are you Alec Artis? And I was like, yes, ma'am. Okay. And then there was...
at Lowe's.
What happened at Lowe's?
We were walking through the Lowe's parking lot, and this girl, like, across the Lowe's parking lot, she was probably like 150 meters away from us. She just started like screaming across the parking lot. She was like,
that's not frightening at all.
she was like, "Oh my God, is that Alec Artis?" And I was like, how do you know this person?"
Yeah, no, Christian's like, okay, should I fight, flight? What should I do? Alex like, hold my wood.
It's just
I'm
like
gonna go talk to a fan.
the
Yeah.
military spouse community like knows me because of my like I don't probably because of like everything that I did on my
Because you're amazing, but also
work
because
stuff.
you like had a full budget music video, spoofing them. And
I just was roasted alive online by making a
you
parody.
like have a love and a hate community. Like they love to hate you, and some people just love to love you. So either way, no, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
You know what? Let me just say, I'm ready. I'm ready for all of it. It's gonna be a good time. But yeah, that's it for this segment. Anything else you want to add, Zoe?
No, we're supposed to sing a song. I can't remember what song we're supposed to sing.
What song are we supposed to sing today?
I can't remember. Oh, God.
My husband just dropped this.
I don't know that one.
I really can't. I can't remember.
You like my house? Gee,
Gee, thanks.
thanks.
Yeah,
Just
got
cleaned it. Just cleaned it.
Oh yeah, just cleaned it.
I swept it.
Yeah.
I mopped it. My husband just dropped this. If you haven't heard that one, that was the greatest parody of all time. No big deal.
If you made it to the end of this video, comment. What was it called? The wife that's like, who's like overbearing and like she's like, my husband's ring is my ring. What's that called?
Dependa?
Yeah.
Comment Dependa.
Yeah.
In the comments. If you made it to the end, make sure to subscribe. Oh, and Zoe, you want to say our catch line?
Oh, I get to say it?
Yeah.
Okay, wait, hold on. I have to get the words right. It's like, and remember, life is more fun when you're smart, Alec. Is that it?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, ready? Okay, hold on, my debut. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. And remember, life is more fun when you're a smart Alec.
Beautiful.
Play us out, Christian.
Do the little like the zing sound. Zing. Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you really enjoyed this episode.
Oh, you're gonna have to redo that
Why?
because it wasn't on you.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.